Last week and over the weekend, we got two fantastic pieces of news that make me extremely excited about what the summer of 2025 could mean for you crypto holders. But you got to stick around to the end of the video to find out why that is such a big deal. Make sure to smash that like button and hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our content. All right, let's go. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Investing Bros live show. It's 3 p.m. As you can see, if you missed my morning live stream, I am in my new set. I'm down here in Florida. Things are looking good. Let me know what you guys think about the set. Also, before I introduce these two great gentlemen, you're going to want to stick around to the end of the show, not only just to hear all of the news that we have to talk about, but we have a major announcement that will affect you if you're a regular if you're a regular Investing Bros viewer. You're going to want to stick around all the way to the end. Major update coming. Good news. Some of you are going to love it. Some of you might not love it so much, but that you stick around to the end to find out what that is. Before we get into the details of the show, though, I got to introduce these two fine gentlemen. I got Smay down here in the bottom right. I got T-Shroom in the bottom left. Smay, how are we doing today, my friend?
Tim.
Yes, there we go. Good. Thumbs up from the Smay. How about T-Shroom? How are you doing, my friend? How are you, the only Georgia boy left on the show?
I'm doing better than I deserve, Tim. Had a very restful weekend listening to the sultry commentary of the Masters in Augusta National as we watched Rory take it all, the Grand Slam, Rory McIlroy. It was great.
McIlroy. Hey, listen, he's one of only 6 people to win the Grand Slam, or I don't know if it's win the Grand Slam or whatever it's called, but good for him. Good for him.
I also golfed.
Good.
That's right.
I have not golfed now in over a week, so it's rough.
In the spirit of the Masters, I'd like to say that this Investing Bros episode has a wind speed of -3 wind speed from the back.
All right. Thank you so much for that, my friend. Let's go take a look at what's happening on the charts really quickly, and then we're going to get into the news. You don't want to miss any of it. All right, let's go into the S&P 500. What is happening here as the weekend? We actually ended up opening up with a little bit of a gap. Guess what we've done already here today? Yes, we had a blue candle. That's a negative candle. But after opening a gap this morning, we have already come down to fill that gap. We're back up above some major support for the S&P 500. We'll talk more about that later and look at another chart that does show you some positivity from the stock market as a whole. I believe, I don't know if we're going to cover it. There are some words from the president earlier today that are going to keep stock people happy. But there you go. Very bullish look for the S&P 500. It's continuing to rebound from that disastrous fall. Again, we had a 48-hour period back earlier in April that was the worst 48 hours in the stock market history. Is the rebound fully back on? We come over in the world of cryptocurrency. Let's go look at Bitcoin. We're going to dive deeper into this when we get into the charts. I was telling people this morning during a live trading session that we have good news and we have bad news. The red line that I had signaled for so long, I'm going to get rid of this line. I'm going to redraw it later. The red line that we've had drawn now ever since back in February was broken, and we've done some very bullish things here. Now, opening and closing a candle above this line. We now have 2 candles above it. I'm assuming unless something disastrous happens tonight, Bitcoin's going to stay above that red line, but there is another level of resistance we just need to prepare ourselves for. I don't want to necessarily fudge you. I want to make sure you're prepared that we don't see some unseen resistance and all of a sudden we go back down and you don't understand why that is. But as a whole, Bitcoin ranging back here for the last, pretty much 48 hours. We've been hovering right about $85,000. Can we make the big leap to the upside? Can we get back towards a 6-figure Bitcoin? Well, we're going to talk about the news here in just a couple of minutes. We'll have a major play, a major role in answering that question. Can Bitcoin get back to the 6 figures soon? And ultimately, that's going to carry us into the news section with T-Shroom. Got some big hitting headlines. But first, before we cover the things that are really bullish and make crypto really intriguing for this summer, let's just get an overall update in one of the newer areas we have to cover daily, weekly, monthly. What is happening with tariffs? T-Shroom, start off with an update on all new tariff information from this weekend.
Absolutely. Well, this is a bit of a throwback meme expression here on my screen, but this is how everybody was feeling this weekend as they were seeing this headline: China suspends export of certain rare earth minerals to the United States. Our commentary was that we probably won't see US-Chinese negotiations start this week. It does continue. It gets a little brighter though, because today, Monday, President of the United States says the EU has come forward to negotiate a new trade deal. Not too much incrementally new information there from last week, but continues to be positive. Could have been negative, isn't negative. You said we're definitely not negotiating. That is not the case. Is continuing to be a green light there from the EU. That's good. You may not think this is actual tariff headline, but this is, in my opinion. Nvidia announces a 500 billion investment plan to expand AI infrastructure in these United States. That's very bullish because that is in large part the whole goal of a lot of what these tariffs are being implemented for. We'll move along here as the final note in our tariff coverage is this. The President of the United States says stock market is very strong after getting used to tariffs. He's an interesting interpretation of very strong, but there are certainly some indicators on the chart that may give investors a bit more confidence looking forward. So that's our tariff section. A little bit of
Yeah.
spice, sweet, a little bit of something for everybody.
No, I mean the Nvidia news is massive. Obviously, the number one. I don't know if they still are. You have to fact check. At one point last year, they were the number one company in the world by market cap. I don't know if they pulled back from that, but the number one manufacturer of the AI chips that are so needed. That's pretty major when we talk about the future. They're number 4 right now.
They're number 3. Sorry, here, yeah,
Number
jump
3.
over to my screen. Number 1 is gold, not a
All right,
company,
that doesn't
but
count. That's not a
then you
company.
have
Yeah.
Apple,
Number 3.
Microsoft, and Nvidia. So
There we go.
those are your champions.
But with the future of the world being AI is how we're going to be moving forward. Nvidia is going to be a major player in how the world progresses. So them investing over 500 billion, and I'm sure that's just a little bit. I'm sure more will come as they grow out here in the United States. I believe this is right in line with what Trump probably had in mind when he started this whole tariff chaos. But I will have to take a little bit of pause with the things that the president said here. Number one, I think saying the stock market is strong again is a little bit of a stretch. I don't know whether you're a big fan of Donald Trump or not. I think you probably are going to agree with me. Let's be happy we're bouncing back. We're by no means out of the woods yet on potential negative price movements in the stock market. The other thing he said there was that it's strong and due to go back to the exact quote, T-shirt, but it's like confidence in the tariff space. I don't know if anyone would describe anything happening here recently as confidence about what the tariffs are doing. In fact, I think the markets are rising despite the fact that we really have no idea of what's going to happen. And that's going to be the segue into the next part, though. And we're going to get away from tariffs for a little bit. I know you guys, just along with me and T-Shroom, are probably all tired of the tariff news, right? We just want this tariff chaos to be over. Unfortunately, we don't always get what we want. We have to keep covering all of the updates. But before the tariff detail became a big detail, and it's now joined to become, there's 3 big things that are holding cryptocurrencies back from hitting new all-time highs and seeing a roaring bull market once again. The newest addition is the tariff front. And I do believe, I wish I could say the tariff fears are over. I wish I could say the tariffs are understandable now. They're not. We have no idea what's going to happen, especially as China and the United States haven't had this back and forth. It seems like one day they're getting closer to a deal. The next day they're butting heads once again, and they're not even talking to each other, right? Until we have an actual conversation between China and the United States and have constructive conversation, it's chaos. That being said, if you go back to January, we talked about on this channel 2 major things that were going to make or break a massive bull market in this year, in 2025, and then extending into 2026. If you remember, number 1, it's going to be quantitative easing. When will we officially start not only just cutting rates, but maybe printing money again, adding liquidity back to the markets? Okay? As long as we keep rates high and as long as it looks like we're trying to tackle inflation and not add liquidity, that could really keep cryptocurrency from going back into a bull market. That's number 1 detail that needs to be fixed. We have some news about that today. Stick around. The other big thing is we said with the institutional bull market that we're looking ahead of, like this is going to be the bull market where instead of in the past where the majority of the bull market comes from retail investment, this is going to be institutionally driven. The institutions are going to be the massive amount of money coming in, but these institutions will not invest heavily until there's clear regulation. It's kind of common sense. It's protective. They need to know exactly what they're investing in, what the rules are before they invest a significant amount of their money into it. They need to know what the future of regulation looks like. These were the two biggest details we talked about in January that would keep us from a massive bull market. Well, today or this weekend, we have got some fantastic news on both of those fronts that make us believe that the summer of 2025 is going to truly be special for crypto holders. There's a reason why we told you not to sell. Has there been fear? Has there been chaos? Absolutely. And I cannot promise you a bear market still couldn't come. But with what we've had happen over the weekend, those same things we told you needed to happen back in January very much look like they will be solved by this summer. For more on that, I'm going to throw it over to T. Shroom. Let's start off, Shroom, on the regulation side. We have Tim Scott coming out saying something pretty amazing for crypto holders. I'm going to let you take it from there. Go ahead. Oh, muted. Muted Shroom.
Senate Banking Chair Tim Scott announced that market structure reforms are underway and said crypto legislation will pass by August. And there's a lot of different crypto regulation on the table, some of it for stable coins and some of it for the altcoins that we know and love. But this is pretty big because it finally gives us a timeline, and it's not a timeline coming from some random person in the press. This is coming from the Senate Banking Committee Chairman, Tim Scott. So this is a pretty big deal, Tim. What's your read on this? Do you think it might come before August, or is August pretty much what we're set on here?
Before I say that, I would imagine it comes before that, but I want to make sure that people are kind of tracking something really significant about Tim Scott. Tim Scott has always been an advocate of crypto, and I say always. He hasn't always. He has been recently. Last couple of years, he's been an advocate of crypto. But if you remember back to a story that came out a couple of weeks ago, Senator Cynthia Lummis talked about how she was actually disappointed that even some of the people on what she said her side of the aisle, meaning the Republicans, weren't quite ready to go all in on the crypto thought. They weren't quite ready to go all in on a Bitcoin strategic reserve. And one of the people she quoted was Tim Scott, who is pro-Bitcoin, who is pro-crypto, but he even said, this was a couple weeks ago, he said, I think that it's still a little too soon to push towards these big levels. So for Tim Scott to come out and be the voice of saying, hey, we're going to have some major regulation passed by August, that is a big deal. Who knows if it happens in August, if it happens before then in July. I want to make sure we're clear here, and this is going to go for the next story as well. I'll reiterate when we get there. But if you're thinking you have to wait for the regulation to become official, for the pumping to happen in the crypto markets, that's not how it'll work. Front running is a big, big deal. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if as we start to hear rumblings and rumors and ideas about what regulation will look like, you're going to see pump, 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 pump. And then the day that the bill takes effect, maybe a small pullback in the markets. But this is a very good sign. Whereas up to this point, it's not been very clear, the timeline or any details about what regulation will actually look like. We just all assume that with the current administration, there's going to be favorable regulation. But now that we have kind of a date in mind, Tim Scott is saying by August, and he's someone who, again, is kind of stepping lightly on the crypto space. The fact that he's giving us a date, and as the information and the rumors start coming out more and more, watch the markets respond early bullishly to, again, one of the biggest factors keeping us from a bull market, and that is regulatory clarity. This is going to give institutions the comfort measures they need to go to their board and say, hey, let's allocate 1%, 2%, 3%. Heck, some of them might allocate 10% to the crypto space, probably mostly Bitcoin, but I still say, before they can allocate heavy amounts of their money to it, they need to know the rules they have to play by. This is a major, major step. As far as the actual date, Shroom, August, July, June, I don't know. What I know is it's summer. Summer is going to be huge. I'm loving what I'm seeing here for the next couple of months in the crypto space.
Absolutely. Well, it doesn't stop there, Tim, because we've got some chatter from the Fed. That's right, the Federal Reserve. This is from Fed Governor Christopher Waller. He said this: risk of U.S. recession would outweigh the risk of higher inflation. That's the long and short of it, but there was some more quotation here. He said this. Picture that he used a very colorful analogy here. Listen, and this one's interesting. He said, "You are the Philadelphia Eagles, and it's 4th down and a few inches from the goal line. You call for the tush push, but fail to convert by running the ball. Since it didn't work out the way you expected, does that mean you shouldn't call for the tush push the next time you face a similar situation? I don't think so. I can hear the howls already that this must be a mistake given what happened in 2021 and 22, but just because it didn't work out once does not mean you should never think about that way again." These were Waller's remarks on the tush push. So this he goes on to say much more. But again, to summarize, because we may have gotten off track a little bit there, I'm sure the chat's going to take that in the most mature way possible. He did say risk of U.S. recession would outweigh the risk of higher inflation. That means we might be seeing the Fed start to utilize its liquidity injection tools and maybe even see a cut sooner than the markets were thinking. Tim, just how bullish is this, and are you ready for another tush push?
Yeah, I love the fact that he used that analogy, and speaking to my heart as a sports fan. For anyone who doesn't follow football, don't worry about it. What he's pretty much saying is, if you have a good play, if there's a good strategy in mind, just because it doesn't work one time doesn't mean all of a sudden it will never work ever again. So he's pretty much saying there's going to be people or naysayers out there who say, oh, the last time you did this, it didn't work out so well. And he's saying that doesn't mean it won't work this time. And we don't know exactly what this means. You know, last week we heard from other Fed members, a couple of voting members, that they have several tools that they have at their disposal to make sure if the markets start to get into trouble, they can absolutely help the markets out. This sentiment has continued today, and I don't believe he was the only Fed speaker. I think we covered it this morning. Several Fed speakers speak throughout the rest of the day today into this evening. It'll be interesting to hear. Do we see a lot of these Fed members coming into agreement with what we hear from this guy? I can't remember his name, but him saying, as we're watching data and we're watching how things are happening, yes, we're still watching inflation, but we're also watching causing concern for recession. And to be fair, we are more prioritized at keeping away from a recession than we are about tackling inflation. Therefore, with them having the tools at their disposal with different ways to add liquidity, they can turn on the money printers, they can cut rates. This is going to give the markets a lot more confidence. I gave an example, an analogy on Friday, if you didn't watch the show. In a nutshell, I talked about my brother doing a backflip in the backyard and how he wasn't confident because he's afraid of hurting himself. But the minute we pull out a mattress, something soft and comfortable for him to fail on, all of a sudden he became more confident and he eventually was able to get a backflip. And the point here is, up until this point, throughout the year of 2025, this fear of recession and not knowing if the Fed was going to come to play and help out the markets, you operate in fear and you don't want to allocate too much money into quote unquote risky assets like the stock market, like cryptocurrency. But now hearing the Fed say, hey guys, we will prioritize no recession. We are going to help the market stay sustained. It will allow investors with a lot of money to feel more confident about investing once again. This kind of concludes the big thing I'm talking about here. This answers the big two questions that we talked about in January. Number one, will we solve quantitative easing? Will we get into quantitative easing? Well, it's very much sound like the Fed is saying they're not telling us when rates are going to be cut. In fact, at this point, I think both Polymarket and CME still believe we're not going to get any rate cuts till June. But if we need to have some form of an emergency cut, it does sound like they are ready. This answers that first question. Are we going to see quantitative easing in 2025? And the answer sounds like a resounding yes, coming to you before or during the summer of 2025. The other one, as we talked about just a second ago, regulatory clarity. Will regulation get clear? Will cryptocurrency get clear regulation from the United States government that gives the green light to institutions everywhere to feel good about investing? Tim Scott is coming out and saying all of that will be answered by August. Once again, it's at the tail end of the summer, but it's still in the summer of 2025. I still believe that this will be a big year for the cryptocurrency market. Let me know in the comments what you think. Do you agree with me about these two big points? Is the emergence of tariffs now overshadowing these two things? Again, we made these predictions back in January. They'd be the two biggest issues. Tariffs have come in like a freight train. Could tariff chaos outweigh both of these clear motivations? Could this outweigh it and keep the cryptocurrency markets suppressed? Let me know in the comments down below. With that said, it's 3:20. We've looked at the charts briefly. It's time to go more in depth. What is happening on the charts here today? Let's start off, as we have been doing here recently, with the S&P 500. Now, I want to remind you guys, we are still sitting under what was a great buy signal here. Not only did we dip down to levels we let you know about down here towards 4,800, we set up a great bullish divergence here on the daily chart. This is a very good sign. And what we're seeing happen this weekend is now, according to Lux Algo's oscillator, the S&P 500 has now entered into a buy signal on the daily chart with a target right now. Let's go look at where we have targets right now on the S&P 500, not that far up above us, but still a little bit further to go before we hit some resistance. More than likely back up here towards almost $5,600. That is the new daily buy signal. I'm curious. I didn't look at this earlier, but let's take a look at how far we are away from maybe seeing a 2 daily buy signal. Probably a day or two away, but that money flow is starting to curve positive. We already had the bullish divergence. We had the green reversal. We had the green momentum. That money flow is starting to flow positive. It has a target maybe up higher towards 5,700. And then how far would we be maybe from a weekly buy signal? You can see the RSI, after hitting oversold levels, is bouncing back to the upside. The MACD has these light pink histograms, which means after weeks of negative movement on the MACD, we're looking to kind of round off and move back to the upside. According to Lux Algo, we also, oh my goodness, now we just started this week. It's too early to confirm this, but ladies and gentlemen, that right there is a green reversal dot. We have at the moment, if the week stays high, unless we see some colossal fallback, we do have a green dot, and we do have positive money flow once again. Now, this could all change. Again, if we start to move back down, if we hit some resistance and start to fall back, we easily could see the green dot go away. We could see the money flow continue negatively. So don't sit on this just yet. We got to wait till the end of the week. We got to pretty much wait a whole week, see how this looks on Monday. But we are very close to a weekly buy signal on the S&P 500 with targets starting off at 5,800. We talked about that. What could be on the 2-day chart. We could be even higher up here towards 59, almost 6,000 once again. That would probably put us back into a camp of watching out for new highs on the S&P 500, right? That could be a very big deal. On the other side, the VIX also, we told you guys when the VIX shot up here last week, we said, do not be surprised. When you see the VIX shoot up like this, this historically has marked bottom movement. Sometimes we see bear market bottoms. Sometimes we see local bottoms within a bear market. Sometimes we see local bottoms within a bull market. But what we knew and we told you was when you see the VIX shoot up this high, historically, the S&P 500 as well as the cryptocurrency markets, pretty much risky assets, seem to have a nice local bottom and start to pump, okay? That is a part of the plan, but you can see the VIX, it's working its way down. Still has a very long way to go to the downside before I would say the VIX is back to oversold. We are still overbought at the moment. This VIX still has time to come down, which means we still have a lot of time for the S&P 500 and for cryptocurrency markets to continue to the upside. So let me know, what are your thoughts about the S&P 500? What's your thoughts about the stock market? Do you agree with the president of the United States that we're in a strong spot as the markets are reacting to, kind of more certainty with tariff information? I don't know if I agree necessarily, but do you think the S&P 500 hits new highs again in 2025? Let me know. As far as Bitcoin is concerned, I talked to you guys earlier. We're going to get into the details here. Something I'm loving on the Bitcoin charts, but something I want to redraw here is the level of resistance in this falling wedge pattern on Bitcoin. Let's just talk for a second. Why is this such a big deal? Okay, so these lines here, there's red and green line, right? Green line right here, red line right here. These mark a bearish trend. If you're not used to technical analysis, if you haven't done it, that's okay. I'm going to walk you through this. This is a consolidation movement, but it's consolidating to the downside, right? Every single time the bulls push back up, they push back up to a lower high. So we have lower highs, but every time the bears push, they seem to pick up new ground and go to a lower low, right? So lower highs, lower lows. This is called a bear trend. But when you have it within a constricted movement like this, where the back and forth is getting tighter and tighter and tighter, this is a formation called a falling wedge. And falling wedges more often than not break to the upside. And we have been watching now for several weeks saying, hey, when will this red line get broken? When will we break above it? And to break above it and to feel good about that break above, we need to not only have one candle break above, we need to see a candle close its candle body above there. We need to see another candle open and close above. And preferably, if you can get 2 or 3 of them, that looks a lot better. What we're seeing right now, again, according to a trend line drawn way back here in February, it looks like for the first time, Bitcoin, first time since January, Bitcoin has broken this level of resistance. We now have closed one candle above. We've opened and closed one, and we've opened a third one. It looks like, again, unless something colossally bad happens between now and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, it looks like we'll have 2 candles in a row that both opened and closed above this line of resistance. Now, I want to pause for a second because I was looking at this with fresh eyes this morning. And as a technical analyst, you always want to be willing to take in new information. Sometimes you draw trend lines. Trend lines are not a perfect science. There is a kind of an art form to it, something we teach in our VIP trading group with our Super Bros members, right? We have the Broz Academy. We're teaching trend line drawing, how to find these formations, how to understand what to do with them. I was looking at this line, and I said, all right, what would happen if I got rid of this line and redrew it right now, right? So I got rid of that red line. Technically speaking, I want to make sure I have the strictest trend line I possibly could have, right? Because with that line, let me redraw it for you real quickly. While it's a very good trend line, like I said, there are several cases where you have wicks kind of shoot a little above, right there, a little bit on February, right there, here, a little bit in April. We have a couple of lines that shot above that red line. So if I was going to draw a trend line that kept all wicks and all candles below this level, I really would use more of a tool of a range. And I would connect all these dots. And you could see with this range, we have yet to see any candle prices break above. This allows me to have way more touches, not just 1, 2, 3, 4 touches, but in fact, now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You get the point here. A lot of touches in this zone of resistance. So what are we saying? While we broke a trend line that I'd identified back in February, and that's a very good spot, to make sure that we make a bullish move here, I really want to see Bitcoin get above this zone of resistance and not just a thin line. And that zone probably going to come in here in the range. Can Bitcoin get back above $86,000? If we can get back above $86,000, all of a sudden, we're doing something that Bitcoin hasn't done. We have a very strict level of resistance. If we can break above, close some candles above 86,000 and stay above this downtrending zone of resistance, all of a sudden, boom, this is going to be the confirmation that the bulls are ready to make a full-blown attempt back to the upside. I'm still going to keep somewhat defensive. I still am going to be watching 100,000 saying, hey, before I get overly bullish, I want to see Bitcoin back in the 6-figure mark. But this would be the first major sign, not just of a falling wedge, but also of a lot of buy signals and a lot of bullish indicators coming back into the forefront for Bitcoin. What we're watching right here, as we said on the SP 500, Bitcoin's doing something very similar. I don't know why the Luxago indicator is not giving this to you, but this right here, let me change this to blue. This right here is very clear bullish divergence. Why? Well, that's a higher low on the oscillator front, right? If you go back and you look at the RSI, same thing you're going to see with the RSI. Very clearly, the RSI put in higher lows here. Same with the MACD. I don't need to draw that one, though, because I don't need to draw a bunch of them, right? We have higher lows on all of our oscillators, but you look at the corresponding timelines, clearly Bitcoin is getting lower with their candle body closes. What does this mean? That means that is bullish divergence. So when I look at my Luxago oscillator, I'm looking for a buy signal. I don't see any recent reversal triangles or dots, but bullish divergence is a reversal indicator. And I would actually go as far as to tell you bullish divergence is stronger than a green triangle or a green dot. I've had several people ask me recently using Luxago. They say, Tim, is the green reversal or the green dot, is that an automatic buy signal? No, it's not. The red dots and red triangles, they're not automatic sell signals. They are reversal indicators, but you'll see several times when these things flash, it could take a little bit, a couple of candles before the markets actually reverse. There's a reason why we wait for the money flow and the oscillator to turn bullish as well. Bullish divergences do not always mark the bottom, but they do it way better than these dots and these triangles. So you could actually say here, what we're looking at on the daily chart for Bitcoin is the strongest reversal indicator. Then you mix that with the bullish momentum of the oscillator. You mix that with the bullish money flow. Bitcoin is in a daily buy signal here once again. Not crazy high targets. In fact, we're getting very close to touching them right now. On the low end, we're talking about 86.5. On the high end, we're talking about 89,000. Those levels would be good enough to do what I just told you we need to do. Get back above 86,000, and all of a sudden, we're cooking again as far as the bulls are concerned. But what's even cooler is we're seeing these buy signals come in on higher time frames as well. This is the 2-daily chart where same thing. I don't even have to redraw it. The RSI, the Lux-Algo oscillator, the MACD, they are all setting these higher lows in the oscillator action. Meanwhile, we're still seeing the lower lows right there. This 2-daily target, while we used to talk about 91.6, and that's still seeing the middle, we're seeing about 89.2 to all the way up to 93,000 happen for our 2-daily candles. But we move out to the weekly chart, and here's where things are going to start getting very interesting. After bouncing on our weekly smart trail, a major level of support, hitting a zone of 74.4 that we've been talking about for a long time now, we're starting to see some positive signs, not bullish divergence, we are seeing bullish divergence, but let's get rid of these lines so we can redraw this correctly. We're starting to see not only bullish divergence, where you can see on these oscillators, we have slightly come to the downside. You see that right there. We don't have it on the MACD, but we do have it here on Lux-Algo as well. The oscillators have come slightly down to the downside. Meanwhile, the price action bottoms, not even close to last September. We have a way higher low. And whenever you see it like this, whenever you see the oscillators put in lower lows, but the price action put in higher lows, this is what's called hidden bullish divergence. It's a continuation pattern, which means this bullish trend that you're in on the macro, it's not over. This was simply a pullback that needed to happen. We now have gotten overextended. It's time to go to the upside. When I look at the Lux-Algo oscillator, guess what we are watching? Oh, by the way, green reversal dot coming in here as well if this week closes. But guess what else we have going on this week? Again, Bitcoin needs to close out bullish this week for this to confirm. But if it does, green reversal, bullish divergence, bullish momentum dot, and look at that money flow starting to make its way back to the upside. As far as the weekly chart is concerned, because we're bouncing on the weekly smart trail, where you're going to want to actually keep an eye on is you're going to want to look back up to the red reversal cloud. Where's that cloud? All the way back up here at 110. Now, before I get to, before you guys start listening saying, Tim said buy signal on the weekly chart, this is awesome. Let's wait till the end of the week, right? We got to get confirmation. That means we need the candles to close. We need all of these indicators, these buy signals to close and stay official. You also need to understand, let's say we get to next week. Let's say we tune back in next Monday, and Bitcoin is sitting here with a bullish reversal, a bullish momentum, and a positive money flow on the weekly chart. Okay? I have a rule. I teach this to our VIP traders. Whatever time frame you're looking at, when you get a buy or sell signal, do not expect immediate results. In fact, these things can take, depending on the time frame, 12 to as long as 24 candles to play out their full potential. So right now, this weekly buy signal is saying we could get a move all the way back up to $109,000, $110,000 before we hit the next major level of resistance. That's what this is saying. But let's work on this for a second. This is the weekly chart, which means every single candle represents 7 days. If we have to wait 12 candles, ladies and gentlemen, this could happen by next week. We could have a major boom next week or the week after. But realistically, your horizon of understanding or thought should be this could take up to 3 months minimum to play out, and it's still a good buy signal. Well, right now, we're looking at April. So, we're kind of in the middle of April. Rest of April, May, June, maybe into the middle of July. What is that? That's summer. Is kind of now this chart starting to back up some things that we were just talking about in the news front, where we were saying this summer is going to get very juicy, very spicy, could really bring back the bullish momentum we need. And we're seeing the longer time frame, like the weekly chart, giving us a buy signal that tells us over the next 3 months, we could make our way back up, potentially hitting new all-time highs. It's not a guarantee. We got to wait for this week to close. And also, you're going to have to continue to be patient, as we have a long time to play out before we would invalidate this buy signal. We could easily, I just want you guys to know, easily with stuff like this, I've seen the price could come back down to 74,000. The price could come down to 72, and it would not cancel out that move. A lot of times there is, when you see buy signals, not every time, but a lot of times there is some sort of manipulated move where price kind of comes back down to a region it's been at recently. So I'm not, even with this buy signal, not canceling out the potential of a move back down below 80,000. I'm not guaranteeing it. I'm not ruling it out. As a technical analyst, I will take all of that information as the time comes. What I know is, as I look at between now and July of 2025, Bitcoin wants to move in the upwards and right direction back up to new all-time highs. Get ready for the volatility. That's where in our VIP trading group, we'll be tracking this every single day. Even here, on the show, we'll be tracking what does the daily candle look like? What does the next month look like? What does the next week and some change look like in the 4-hour and 8-hour charts? What does the next day look like on the hourly charts. It all comes down to perspective of what's happening. And I'm not going to get into the details here on today's show about what the next 24 hours could be. I do think Bitcoin realistically could be pulling back here, and we could see another level. I'm keep that information for the VIP trading group for now. Maybe we get more into that on tomorrow's show. But my overall kind of sentiment to you right now is take a breath from the short-term action. People get exhausted by looking at the 1 hour chart, the 5-minute chart, the 15-minute chart. Trust me, I've been doing more scalping recently with the VIP trading group, even here on YouTube. Scalping does not tell you the full story. Scalping is amazing. You make a lot of money, but sometimes you got to take a breath. You got to zoom out before you freak out, and you got to realize when you look at the news and you look at these charts over the next couple of months into the summer of 2025, there's a lot of positivity that could mean that the bull market for both cryptocurrency and the stock market is coming very, very soon. Be patient, hodl on, and those are the ones who will reap all of the rewards. That's what I got for you today in the technical analysis section for the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. But it's time to transition. Make sure everybody, if you had enjoyed this, smash that like button right now. It's time to transition into some altcoin conversation. A big headline came out here today that's going to confuse some people. And while I'm not going to say this is the absolute answer, T-Shroom has a theory that I actually really, really like. And I'm going to let him give it here in just a second. Real quick, Davey Cakes with the super chat says, was playing golf at Pinehurst this weekend. Played with two guys from JP Morgan, and they watched Investing Bros 2. They watched it, or they do watch it. That's cool. Everyone is bullish, 145K on it. Davey Cakes, love seeing it. I would love to know, does JP Morgan watch the Investing Bros channel? Hey.
I mean, you kind of have to at this point. I mean, how could you be confident in your investments and trades without watching the Investing Bros?
I wonder what they think. I wonder what they Go ahead, sorry.
I was going to say, especially if you're working for such an important institution like JP Morgan, you have to be locked in.
It's funny. I wonder, and I know you're joking, but if they do watch, if these two guys do watch it, I wonder what their thoughts are when we kind of talk about their grand lord and master CEO, Jamie Dimon. We haven't been too favorable to him. Hey, listen, if Davey Cakes, if your contacts can get Jamie Dimon to come on the show, I might give him a hard time, but I would interview Jamie Dimon and get his take on things, even if I disagree with him and think that everything he says to me is going to be misinformation. I would still love to interview him. So if you could hook that up, Davey Cakes,
I'm caught up on the.
I'll pay for the rest of your year of golf. I'll pay for one golf game a month if you can get that set up. All right. T-Shroom.
The Jamie Dimon interview.
That got us away. Two guys watch the channel. Okay, that's really cool. Yeah, we have some Jamie Dimon, or we have JP Morgan employees that watch the show. I love it. Back to Ethereum. Back to altcoins. It's going to be about Ethereum. I'm kind of letting the cat out of the bag. Let's get into the story here. And again, I really like your theory, Shroom, and I want to make sure you get credit for it. And I don't want anyone to think that this was my idea. This is T Shroom's idea. This is why he's on the show, because he's a smart guy. Finished top of his class economics at his college. So
that's right.
Listen to what he says. T Shroom, tell us about the news and then tell us your theory.
All right. The SEC delays the decision on Grayscale's Ethereum ETF staking proposal. The original deadline was this week, April 17th, but then they've extended that deadline. The new deadline is sometime in July. It's not clear if it's going to be 90 days from April 17th or 90 days from today. So, generally it's going to be kind of a wider target, July 2025. Now, the theory that Tim's referring to is why? Why would they push this out? Why would they delay it? Thought that the SEC is supposed to be pro-Bitcoin, pro-crypto. They are. I think what's happening here is there are a whole bunch of altcoin ETFs that are supposed to be reviewed and either thumbs up or thumbs down. And there's going to be gradation to that. Will a coin like Solana and AVAX be able to have staking enabled? Will other coins like Cardano be able to have staking enabled in the ETF? Right? Those are going to be questions that the SEC is going to have to figure out in addition to the Ethereum staking question. So my theory is that they're pausing everything probably, and they're considering it. They're holding multiple rounds of open house conversations where they're inviting brilliant legal minds in the cryptocurrency Web3 industry. And so it makes sense that they would also just kind of hear out what those folks have to say too. But I think that this new deadline is, to me, kind of saying, hey, could they be kind of tipping off investors like July is going to be the month to watch when it comes to ETF approval for altcoins, Solana, AVAX, Cardano, Dogecoin. A bunch of coins have ETFs that have been submitted by Grayscale, Van Eck, BlackRock, other very big institutions that usually get their way. So, Tim, I want to hear what you think about that theory. Is this pause because they're going to launch them all at the same time? And could be that July date be one to watch for altcoin investors?
Yeah, I think it's a beautiful theory. I don't know if I could give a definitive answer on if I think that's actually what's happening. You also have to remember we have just been over the last 4 years. Again, I'm not going to get necessarily too political here about did you like the former administration? Do you like the current administration? No matter what your views are about presidents, I think we all can agree here in the crypto space. Maybe tell me if you disagree. I think we can all agree that Gary Gensler and the SEC of the past was a terrible administration who constantly suppressed the crypto markets, who lied about the crypto markets, lied in court to keep it down. Like it was just an overall, there's some bad words I could use to describe what the last 4 years the SEC looked like, right? T-Shirt, I think it's going to take some time to get out of that mindset and not feel like the SEC is playing mind games with us. But that being said, it would make sense if they're going for a policy of fairness to wait and approve everything all at one time, right? Not give Ethereum the heads up or the lead before other cryptos, right? If the plan is we're going to allow all these cryptos to have staking in their ETF proposal, to giving one approval and waiting for the others, again, you're giving Ethereum competitive lead on the rest of the space. And whether you like Ethereum or whether you don't like Ethereum, doesn't really matter. I think we all could agree having fair, equal competition, just like a free market, having fair competition amongst cryptocurrencies, amongst the layer ones to go out and do what they need to do, but they all have this, they're all playing by the same rules. They stay at the same possibilities and permissions. That would make a lot of sense. So while we don't know for certain that's what it is, T-Shroom, I think it's an astounding concept. And I think trying to build the most amount of fairness with regulatory clarity in the crypto space, it makes sense. And guess what? You just gave us another timeline. July. What does July fall into? What season of the year is that? Summer. We're talking about 2025. We're talking about a time frame where Bitcoin could really be making some big moves. We're talking about where quantitative easing has probably just happened or is close to happening. We're talking about where, again, other regulatory issues, other bills and policies are being presented and passed in Congress. It's not a foolproof plan. We don't know 100%, but the timelines and the confirmation of those different details kind of continue to eerily come together and say, this summer is when things are going to get really, really interesting. And I'm not saying we can't rally before this summer. I want to make sure we talk about it in the planning meeting. Some people are saying if we talk about the summer is going to be really bullish, what does that mean between now and then? We could stay ranging. We could be a little bearish. We could start to rally early before the summer of 2025. But what I'm saying is whether we rally, we're stagnant, or have been pulling back, this summer, right there around July, August, is going to get very interesting. I would be very surprised if we're not resuming back into major pumping, major bull market moves by this summer or during the summer. That's my personal opinion. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. Before I move into the charts, T-Shirt, anything else you want to add there? And we're going to take a look at the Ethereum chart, the Bitcoin Dominance Chart, and then we'll get into our big announcement that everyone needs to know about here moving forward with the channel. But any closing thoughts on Ethereum from you?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely other theories that I could conjure up, right? I mean, let's see. Eric Soto said it could be potentially a tax issue. They're maybe waiting for some guidance from the IRS. I find that to potentially be low likelihood given this administration's posturing towards the IRS. Could also be, from the words of Hester Pierce in several podcasts that she's done, they're kind of trying to de-emphasize the Securities and Exchange Commission, the SEC's role in crypto and Web3 altogether. So maybe, they're trying to pass off these ETF approvals to someone else. I think that's also fairly unlikely, but there could be some strings to pull on there as well. I think the other one that's probably the most plausible is they're waiting for Congress to act, to pass the stablecoin bill, to and pass other crypto bills as well to maybe see if there's any guidance there, any clarity that could inform a decision to be made at the SEC. Because Hester Pierce is trying to make a point. The SEC is not the originator of what the law should be in any given financial vertical. It should be Congress. It should be the people, and the SEC just enforces those laws. So obviously a contrast to Gary Gensler, the former commissioner. I think all these theories are on the table. But as an investor in crypto, I like the fact that July is kind of been brightened up as a potential bullish month to be anticipating.
There we go. Well, let's get into some altcoin talk. We're going to look at Ethereum technical analysis here in a second, but I want to start off with, again, I'm not going to look at every altcoin here, but I'm looking at a chart that does affect altcoin season. When will the altcoins go berserk once again? No, we're not talking about Mantra. We're probably not talking about Mantra. We talked about it this morning, maybe with the Q&A right after the show. T-Shroom will get into some Mantra talk with the VIP traders. But this chart right here has a lot to do with what happens on the altcoin season. It's the Bitcoin Dominance Chart. I've seen a lot of people on X predicting, the Bitcoin Dominance Chart's overextended. Looks like it's topping out, about to have a major crash. It's not what I see, right? And I'm not saying that this means altcoins are about to crash and burn and die while Bitcoin goes up. No, altcoins will follow Bitcoin. In fact, not a hot take because it's probably a definite take. It's a cool take. Crypto altcoins will follow Bitcoin's chart. They might not outpace it. We might see the Bitcoin dominance continue to go the upside, but if Bitcoin falls, crypto will fall. Altcoins will fall. If Bitcoin rallies, altcoins will rally. What altcoin season is not even necessarily a divergence, but more of all of a sudden, the 1%, 2%, 3% pumps in Bitcoin become 20, 40, 50% pumps in the altcoin space. Right now, it's more like Bitcoin pumps 5%, altcoins pump 7%. Like maybe it outpaces it a little bit, but not enough to steal dominance back. And what I see right now is more of as we've rallied back up here. Again, we told you getting back to 64%, pretty likely. It looks like we're more consolidating and ready for another push to the upside. It's really hard at this point to tell you exactly where Bitcoin dominance will top out. I've heard some analysts saying 70% is on the table here. What I'm going to be watching for is I'm going to be watching for signs of weakness. And right now, you do technically, if we can start to get some real strong bearish candles here, you are sitting in a camp on the daily chart where you have bearish divergence, right? You do see on the MACD, at least, you have lower highs coming in. I guess RSI is not quite there. Neither is Luxalgo. What about the weekly chart? Maybe the weekly chart's giving us bearish divergence. Yeah, I mean, you definitely have it there. I mean, we need to see a bearish weekly candle, but right now, on the RSI, you clearly see a lower high. On Luxalgo, you see a lower high, yet the candle body closes, clearly a higher high right there. So give me a blue candle or two, and then we can start talking about the Bitcoin dominance peak being over. But for now, don't go selling your Bitcoin for altcoins just yet. What I'm seeing, some people are going to say, but Tim, there's red reversals and bearish momentum. Yeah, but the money flow is still positive, right? No sell signal on the daily. Definitely no sell signal yet on the weekly chart. We're seeing the beginning signs of it, but it's not quite there yet. All right, so that's something to be keeping in mind. What about Ethereum's chart? Let's take a look at Ethereum. This coin has been bleeding this bull market, but there are signs of hope out there. First of all, again, if you were watching this show a couple of weeks ago, we told you, watch for a $1,400 Ethereum. Why? Because the gap in the fixed range volume profile. Not that it's impossible to go lower, but I told you, I don't know why, these gaps in fixed range volume seem to have massive support and resistance. You saw it happen back here last summer in this gap around 2,100. You saw it happen earlier this year with this gap around 1,700. And now we've hit a pretty big one. In fact, the last significant gap for Ethereum's market so far was 1,400. It does look like we have a nice little bounce there from Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and get rid of that fixed range volume just so it's not in the way. Let's just stay on here on the daily chart and then work our way up. How is Ethereum looking as far as, is it a good place to buy? Is it a good place to sell? You know, the MACD does look like it's coming. What did I just do? Oh, it did it again. All right, give me a second here, guys. I don't know why it always does this, and I don't know how to fix it necessarily. I got to go back to this watch list to go back to Ethereum. I apologize, everybody. There we go. Let's go back here. All right, Ethereum, daily chart. You're going to see a buy signal here on the daily chart. What am I talking about? Luxalgo, green reversal, bullish momentum, positive money flow. You see the MACD, this is what I was trying to say before my chart jacked up. The MACD has crossed back bullish once again. Now, it's been crossing back and forth pretty regularly here recently, so let's get new highs or new recent highs in the MACD. Let's get back above this mid-level to feel confident, but it is seeing a bullish RSI, bullish MACD, and a buy signal on the Lux Algo Oscillator. The price target for Ethereum coming in here, oh, I love it, with a lot of distance. 1,900 is the price target here for Ethereum on the daily chart, right? Back in this order block, actually 2,000. Order block and that smart trail daily chart, both looking very, very good. How are we looking on the 2 daily chart, right? This is going to be very important. We're going to work our way up to the weekly chart to see how everything is performing. Love what I'm seeing here, right? We had a big bearish bubble back here late March. Now we have hit a new low here in April, but we set up bullish divergence. We have the green reversals. We have the bullish momentum. 2 daily charts, money flow is going positive. The bubble has, in fact, burst. That's going to give us a price target up here, kind of a little bit higher, but 2,100 on the 2 daily chart. Let's go all the way up to the weekly chart, though. This is where a lot of people are going to be wondering what is going on here. We do not have bullish divergence on the weekly chart. And the reason why is because we did go lower. We have gone lower here in 2025 than we went back in 2024. Some people, though, are going to say, hey, what about the fact that the last time we were closing this low, way back here in October of 2023, could you stretch it out way back here and say we have some weak bullish divergence? You could, but I think there's a lot of other factors playing here that says we're bullish enough. We don't need to necessarily have the bullish divergence confirmation. I come to the weekly chart, and again, I want to see this week close, just like I said with the S&P 500, just like I said with Bitcoin. But guess what we have here? We have a green reversal. We don't actually have the green dot yet, the momentum dot. So let's get that green momentum dot this week. But we have the reversals. They've been building up here, and we have positive money flow once again. Can the weekly chart follow that 2 daily and daily chart? Can we get that buy signal? In which case, Ethereum has targets all the way back up here. Let's turn on our order blocks as well. There's a fair value gap. I'm going to say probably right back up here to 3,400. 3,400 on Ethereum. If we start to make these moves, that's a great weekly bullish bottom candle right here. Again, this is a dragonfly doji candle. Yes, we have a big wick down below, a smaller wick up top, but that looks like a major bottom signal. Some high volume came in to kind of confirm that move. We hit a long-term support level. I made a video a couple weeks ago. Some of you guys be asking, Tim, it sounds like you're so positive on Ethereum. I thought you were selling all of your Ethereum. Well, I haven't sold my Ethereum yet. I'm still considering selling my Ethereum. But if you watch that video on our channel, if you actually watch and not just read the thumbnail and the title, which a lot of people like to do, right? A lot of people like to just read thumbnails, look at the title, and they think they know exactly what the concept of the video was. That's not really how it works. If you watch my video on Ethereum, I'm clearly saying I still believe this coin can make its way to $10,000. I just look at the risk and the reward and say, you know what? There are other coins that can do the same or greater moves that I feel like have less risk than Ethereum. Doesn't mean I'm bearish on Ethereum. Does not mean I don't think Ethereum still doesn't have a bull market. Doesn't mean I don't think that it can get to a 5-figure level. It just means there's other coins I can get that 6, 7, 8x out of. I don't necessarily need Ethereum to do so. But again, I haven't sold yet because Ethereum is so far to the downside. Didn't mean to go there. Because Ethereum is so far down, because Ethereum has such a nice long way, even just to get back up to the daily and 2 daily smart trails, I wouldn't be surprised to see Ethereum outpace some of its local competitors like XRP and Solana over the next couple of weeks. Once we start to hit those targets, once we start to settle out, that's when I'll be looking potentially to move, maybe not all, but some of my Ethereum into other holds like XRP and Solana. Now, really quickly, before we leave this topic, and we will get into our big announcement that you guys need to know about here, what the future of this channel is going to look like, I want to throw it over to T. Shroom. What are your thoughts, Shroom, about the Ethereum price action?
Well, Tim, I keep hearing you talk about Lux Algo, and I don't know that folks realize what that is, because people have been telling us in the Discord that Lux Algo has been really helpful for them in their trading journey. Maybe you can give a little bit more information about what Lux Algo is.
Yeah, so Lux Algo, if you guys are just watching our channel, if you haven't watched a lot, you're going to see all these indicators. Go back to my screen here, Smay. If you guys like these clouds, the smart trail I keep talking about, even this oscillator right here where we get all of our buy signals, these all are a part of the Lux Algo suite package. And this is a company we partner with. They're the #1 indicator package that I have ever worked with. I've worked with several different trading platforms out there. Luxago is number one by far. And so we partnered with them. You can use our link down below and get 20% off. If you want to learn how to trade this way, go buy Luxago with our link. And guess what the other cool features are? And we're going to talk about this here in just a second. Our VIP trading group, there's different membership options you can pay for through Discord, or if you buy Luxago and buy either the premium or ultimate accounts of Luxago in the link down below, you get free access to those VIP trading groups. So that's actually a good transition into our announcement. If you want to go get Luxago and start trading with me today, guess what? I also have tutorial videos over in our Discord that when you join that VIP trading group, you get access. So you're not just buying the indicator, you're going to buy it with education on how to utilize it and start trading and make some money today. By the way, in case anyone's wondering, no shade, no problem with any other indicators out there. I tell people all the time, with technical analysis, and that means the basic technical analysis, that means the paid indicators like Luxago, every tool is as good as the hand it's put in. If I take a hammer and I try to cut a piece of wood with it, I'm not going to do a very good job. But if you give me a nail and say, put that nail in the wood, that hammer is going to be the perfect tool. Every tool has its pluses and minuses. What I have found with the way I trade and the way I like to move on the charts, Luxago is the greatest tool for me. If you disagree, if you don't like it, no problem. You still want to be a part of our trading group and learn about other technical analysis from us, go join a membership option. But if you do like what you see on our charts, if you do want to start trading with some very easy and simple buy and sell signal indicators and knowing where to take profit and where to put your stop loss, Luxago is a perfect choice. Go check out the link down below. All right. Before we transition out of here, again, don't go anywhere, everybody. Smash that like button if you're enjoying the show. It is time for a pretty major announcement as far as the channel, right? So I'm here now in Florida. You see the new set. There's more changes coming. And before I say what these changes are, I want to make sure you guys understand. We already told our VIP trading group, so a lot of our VIP trading group knows about this. T-Shim and I have been talking for months now, probably coming up on 6, 7, 8 months. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but we have been talking about the direction of our channel and the direction of our company and what a long-term, winning strategy would look like. Okay. We're very big on community. We're very big on education. We're very big on helping people help themselves by learning how to trade for themselves. Like we don't want you to just listen to us daily and then just blindly buy when we say to buy and sell when we say to sell. We want you to learn how to do this yourself. There's that old saying my dad probably said 147 times to me as a child, you can catch a man a fish and feed him for a day. You can teach a man to fish and feed him for a lifetime, right? I think we all have heard that over and over again, but it's very true. I would really like for you guys, no matter where you go in the future of your life, to learn how to read the markets, read the news, read the charts, invest wisely, take profit wisely, set up good stop losses. So just want you to know, the vision of our channel, the way we want to move and grow is help you guys equip yourselves to be your own expert advice giver, okay? So what's the best way to do that? Here's where the change is going to come in. For 2.5 years now, we've been around for 2.5 years. We have done a daily live show at, we started off at 9 a.m. when we first started off a year and some change ago. We transitioned to 3 p.m. afternoon live shows, and we love it. The community that we've built and the people we've been here with has been phenomenal. But T-Shim and I have said it for a long time. During bull markets, during exciting bullish trends, everybody likes live shows. This hour and a half long live show format, people love it. But the reality is during bear markets or during boring sections, some of you guys, even some of you guys are watching back, or maybe some of you guys are not watching this, and I'm just kind of speaking the wind on this one. There's times where in stressful situations, you don't have time to watch an hour-long show. You really want to get in, get the information, and get out. And we've known, because we've analyzed other channels and did different things, channels that can have shorter daily uploads, they can grow faster, they can help more people, they can do a whole lot more. But we've always held off on doing that because we love this community. We love coming and doing the daily live show with you guys. But after speaking with some advisors, some people that are way wiser than us about how to handle our content, how to handle our groups, we really have come to the conclusion that moving forward, the best situation for us and the best situation for this channel and the best way to grow your guys' understanding is to transition from a daily live show into more uploads. So what does that look like? Because some of you are probably freaking out saying, no, I watch the daily live show every single day. What are you going to do? Listen, We're not gonna get crazy here. First of all, we're gonna finish out this week as normal. Nothing is changing the rest of this week. However, starting next week on Monday, I will be doing a 9 a.m. live trading session, just like I did this morning. Every single Monday morning, we'll kind of process the market open after a long weekend together. So you want to come back at 9 a.m.s. And then Wednesday afternoons, we will still do an hour-long live show, 3 p.m. for everybody there. But Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, we will do 10 to 15 minute long uploads where I will go through the news, go through the important charts, and cover everything you guys need to know. So anyone who doesn't have time to watch the full hour-long show, you just need to get in, get the information, get out. It's going to be perfect for you. We're going to reach more people. We're going to grow this community, and we're going to grow as a channel. Now, you might be saying, well, what does that mean, Tim? What does that mean about our situation? We love to listen to you and T-Shroom and Smay and Crux talk through the markets. We're not going anywhere. We're not working less. In fact, this whole change is going to cause us to work harder, right? What we are going to be doing on those days where we're not actively live, we will be going live in our VIP trading group for 30, 45, who knows, maybe an hour every single day right after to answer all your questions, to go through more charts. We're going to be doing way more live trading. And so if you're already a current VIP trader, you're good to go. This is excellent news for you. I very much understand for those of you who are not part of the VIP trading group, or not in the Discord, who love this community and you love being here every single day, we're still putting out content every single day. We're still going to help you understand what's happening. Monday mornings and Wednesday afternoons, we're still going to be live. So come in and check those out as well. But I want to encourage you to go ahead and join that VIP trading group. And as our way of saying thank you to all of you guys, to say thank you to your support for us over the last couple of years, for the next 2 weeks, we will be giving 50% off of all of our membership options so that you guys can jump in at a cheap level right now. If you don't want to miss out on the daily conversations, if you don't want to miss out on the Q&A and finding out what does T-Shroom think about this story, or what does Tim think about this story, or you want your factoids of the day, all of that will still be happening. It will just be happening over in our VIP trading group. And so I encourage you guys right now, take advantage of this deal. When you sign up, use Broz50 and you'll get 50% off of your membership options so that you can still be in here. Now, again, I understand a lot of you guys don't like this. This is what I was getting at. Like, T-Shroom and I had this conversation 6 or 7 months ago. Again, the time has flown. It was a long time ago. We held off on it, right? Because we knew there's going to be hundreds of you guys who feel left out, who miss out on the 3 p.m. live show. We understand that very, very much so. Again, that's why we want to give you guys this deal to join the VIP trading group. But we also know that for us to be able to serve you guys in the best way possible, to teach you what we want to teach you, to help you get better at what you're doing, this strategy will reach more and more and more people. We'll build and build and build with our current community. I encourage you guys to come and be in our VIP trading group. We'll do giveaways from time to time as well. So, we're going to be able to build a lot more on the channel. Someone says, no more live trading in the AM. We will still have live trading in the AM on Mondays. Now, for the VIP trading group, I will be trading pretty much every day, maybe still not Wednesday mornings, but almost every day with the VIP trading group. We will be doing that live trading. So that is something that we're absolutely going to continue to do. Let me know in the comments. You feel free to voice your grievance, your concern, your sadness. We understand that it's time of change. It's chaotic. People don't like change. But we know that after talking with some experts, after kind of talking about what we want to do and build as a company, this is going to be the best decision for us moving forward. We thank all of you guys for supporting us, being with us, and I encourage and thank you guys who are going to keep supporting us and helping us build this great community. You guys have been phenomenal. With that said, though, T-Shroom, anything you want to add to that? And then we're going to get our factoid today and wrap out today.
Yeah, I was not expecting there to be so much kind of emotional response to this, but I do feel for you. For you guys, it's kind of a habit baked in at 3 p.m. It's a habit for us too. This has been something that we do every single day. We prepare for the show, we execute the show. It's not going anywhere. It's just going to be a smaller format, and there won't be that holler back effect. Although we will premiere the videos, so there will still be a live chat. But I understand it won't be different because we can't sit there and read it live. But we'll still have a live show once a week, and we'll still have the morning live trading once a week as well. So, and who knows? And for the Fed speeches and for other major events like that, we'll still definitely go live. And there's also no reason why in the future that we might change strategy back once the bull market starts raging on and euphoria returns back to the market. So those are my 2 cents. Really appreciate you all hanging on and making this a habit. If you hate this news and you're gonna go on, it was nice knowing you. Jesus loves you. Jesus is way more important than anything we'll ever do. But if you want to go find something else, we understand. With that said, we believe that we've built an extremely high quality product and experience with the Brolux memberships, and there is a free Discord that you can come in and be a part of as well if you're not sure if you're ready to make the commitment to the Brolux community. So that's my 2 cents. Love you guys. We're not going anywhere. We hope you don't go anywhere either.
I'll tell you this, T. Sherman, where your transition rate. I'm not surprised about the emotional response, and you know what? That means I know that's because you guys have fallen in love with this community, and I love it. And this is why we held off on this for so long and said no, we're not going to do it. We're not going to do it. At the end of the day, this is what's going to be best for our group, our channel. And again, I actually take the negativity as a sign of love, as a sign of sadness. There's that quote of like it's better to have loved and lost than never love at all. You only feel pain when you lose something you love. And I know you guys love it. So reminding, 9 a.m. Monday mornings, we will still be live. Wednesdays at 3 p.m., we will still be live. When major events are going on, we will go live. When something crazy happens and we need to break it down live, we will still be going live. All we're talking about is regular live shows on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, when there's not necessarily anything crazy popping off. We're going to be doing 10 to 15 minute long updates. Can still give you content, give you all the alpha. Come in and watch it every single day. And then again, if you love our feedback, if you love our thoughts and how we go through things, of course, we'll be over in that VIP trading group every single day. With that said, that's enough on that one. Again, it's sad for you guys. It's sad for me in a way too. I will miss it. I love live shows. But I also know to grow and to do what we need to do to our business to help as many people as possible, sometimes you got to make some hard decisions you don't really want to make. And that's what we have to do at this point. With that said, let's change this. Let's turn the frown upside down. Let's bring on Smay for our factoid of the day. Smay, you're taking on a very fun part of the show. What do you got for us today?
Turn it around, Smay.
Guys, I'm gonna turn it around, guys. There's it wasn't your fault. You didn't do anything bad, and if anything, it's all my fault. Anyways, let's go ahead and jump into the factoid today, brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Which of these U.S. presidents officially had a patent? A. George Washington, B. Abraham Lincoln, C. Thomas Jefferson, or D. Theodore Roosevelt?
Officially had a patent.
I want to go Delta. Because Thomas Jefferson makes a lot of sense too.
Was Thomas Jefferson an inventor? I don't think he was an inventor.
Yeah, but he was a very colorful thinker. He's a colorful thinker, Tim. And those colorful thinkers, they often get patents. I'm going to go Theodore Roosevelt, though.
I'm
and part of it is being informed by the fact that I know that Smay really likes Theodore Roosevelt.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, I was going to add to that one as well. There's a chance it's George Washington. He was pretty innovative. He was one of the great minds in what did he do? He was I
don't think the patent office was established back in his time, though.
I have no idea when the patent office was established. I'm just saying I could see George Washington creating a tool that was like, oh, this is really innovative. But I think Theodore Roosevelt is going to be my guess as well. D.
All right. And with that, it was Abraham Lincoln.
Wow.
He patented.
That was not on my radar.
All right. He patented
Top
changing from live shows to pre-recorded. No, I'm kidding.
Wow.
He patented. I mean, yeah, we were infringing, guys. We're infringing. Anyways, no. Abraham Lincoln, he invented some kind of boat thing, which is interesting. Pennsylvania boat thing.
Boat thing.
Yeah, some kind of like boat thing. Anyways, guys, that's an interesting factoid of the day. Brought to you by Decrypted.tax. Back to you, Tim.
Oh man. I love you guys so much. Dips for Buying says this is officially the last factor of the day. Better get it right, guys. It's not. Again, the rest of this week, we're gonna finish out this week with daily live shows. Wednesday afternoons, there will still be Factoid of the Day. Over in the over in Q&A time with VIP Trading Group, there will be Factoid of the Day. Not the last Factoid of the day whatsoever, everybody. Again, we love you guys so much. If you really do love us, you want to keep spending time with us, you want to learn a whole lot more, take your education next step, go join that VIP trading group, get 50% off for the next 2 weeks. That's 2 weeks only. After that, that deal will be off the table. So you can spend every single day and more. Again, not just 3:30. You can spend mornings, afternoons, evenings with our phenomenal community. With that said, everybody, we love you. We will see you tomorrow, the same time, the same place. Adios.